Institutional reform can never help, or at least can't help faster to solve this case out because it's way more complex than defunding the police. I support the defunding of the police because investing in community programs could provide a better deterrent for communities. Funds would go toward addressing social issues like poverty, homelessness, and mental disorders. If we only do that strategy, we only change the formation, not the people. People who had gotten the impact could never felt any difference unless the changes of the officer and the system in it. But they don't really change, and we can't guarantee that they wouldn't do such abuse anymore. The fact that the defunding is more effective to address police abuse because police departments are historically oppressive and violent. Defunding them could reduce violence against people of color and overall crime. Second, police officer and police departments reform have not worked. And the third, police are not trained and were not intended to do many of the jobs they perform. Defunding the police allows experts to step in. For the next reason why defunding is a better way than reforming, we can pick US for this. Policing in the US was established to maintain white supremacy, while the US subjects are only white people. The police are not neutral body, and the institution is inherently biased. In the US, slave patrols and night watches were the beginning of the racially directed system of law enforcement designed to secure capital for white settlers. The next one, body cameras, trainings, and other so-called reform measures will not end cycles of police violence. In Minneapolis and other US cities, body cameras and other reform measures were implemented as part of the Obama administration multi-million-dollar response to the call for police accountability and have proven largely ineffective. Policing diverts billions of dollars from school, healthcare, and other vital programs that need more funding to strengthen our communities and support shared well-being. U.S. cities collectively spend $100 billion a year on policing, while needed investments in education, healthcare, housing, and other critical programs go unfulfilled, particularly in poor communities and communities of color. New York City, for instance, spends more on policing than it does on the Department of Health, Homeless Service, Housing Preservation and Development, and Youth and Community Development combined. Next, Black organizers are calling for divestment from policing and investment in human needs across the country. As part of its platform, the Movement for Black Lives calls for the reallocation of federal, state, and local government funds from policing and incarceration to long-term strategies for education, restorative justice service, and employment program. In Chicago, the No Cop Academy campaign galvanized thousands of community members and garnered the support of more than 100 community organizations in urging the city to shift funding for a new $95 million policy academy to programs that benefit youth and communities. And today, faced with budget shortfalls and urgent healthcare needs, Minneapolis organizers are calling for $45 million in cuts to the police budget to protect the health of communities in this pandemic. And the last one, tax dollars should be invested in more humane and just alternative to policing. That includes funding healthcare workers to respond to mental health emergencies instead of the police. It also means shifting our resources to transformative justice approach that supports survivors and work directly with the person who has caused harm through community-based system on accountability. Under these models, community members work together to keep each other safe. The human cost of investing in policing instead of our communities have been social as well as financial. We have created a society that looks to policing as the answer to our problems, both real and imagined, calling the police not only in emergency but also in response to white people's fears or annoyance in many situations where people of color are simply trying to live their lives. Defunding the police is only step we can take to free up resources and public imagination for more just and humane approaches to community safety and shared well-being. It's time to defund the police. Tell your governor, invest in our communities, not policing. Thank you.